So this question we're about to ask the homeowner, this series, question 8 here, is directly about the price. Again, we could not have led with this. This is at the right time. It's all flowing. The seller has already given us some information about price, and they won't realize that you're actually testing them a little bit by re-asking some of these questions. And it's kind of like a witness in a chair during court. They're asked the question, they state their opinion or their viewpoint of what they think happened. And then the attorneys re-ask the question later to verify, are they going to say the same thing? In pricing therapy, it's extremely important that we keep testing the seller on their price opinion, because we both know this. Overpriced listings have about zero chance of selling. I mean, it'd be hard to argue to say, Brian, no, overpriced listings have a 100% chance of selling, or 50% chance. No, they have no chance of selling if they're overpriced, unless we're looking for a fool to say, well, I can sell an overpriced listing. None of us. I was one of the top agents in the country and qualified based on the volume that I did. And you know what? I could not sell an overpriced listings with a marketing plan. There's always pricing persuasion, always pricing therapy. Of course, the economy would help out sometimes. You overprice a property, the economy catches up to you. But we really can't count on that. It's incumbent upon us to do the pricing therapy correctly, gather this information. So here we go. Part of my job as an agent, seller, is to determine and defend your price. Can I ask you, have you had the property appraised for a refinance or maybe a home equity loan in the past, 3 to 5 years? And if so, was that in line with what you're thinking? So here's what happens. The seller says, well, we did get a home equity loan on the property, and we did pay $400,000 for it, but the guy was really low. He came in at $430,000. We had it done like a year ago. He was just way low. I don't think he was from this area. I saw his business card. He doesn't even live in this area. What we just discovered here is the seller thinks that $430,000 was too low, and it wasn't in line with what they were thinking. They were north of that, and you're sitting there on the phone gathering this information, and you discover that the homeowner is thinking they got appreciation when you're at $370,000 in your mind already, and they're saying that the appraisal was too low. So it's extremely valuable that we ask the homeowner, have you had an appraisal done for refi or home equity in the last 3 to 5 years? Now, if they say no, that's okay. But so many people have had it done while they've lived there for refinance to get these lower interest rates in the marketplace, whatever it is. And was that in line with what you were thinking? On occasion, they might say, he came in at $430,000, we knew that was too high. I had a situation where the seller specifically did this. He was moving out of about a $500,000 property, was purchased something for like $1 million on acreage with horses. And his appraisal for his departure property came in at $725,000. When I met with him, by the way, I was his third agent. When I met with him in the beginning, he said that he knew the appraisal at $725,000 was probably a bit high, but he was probably still in the $685,000 range. We did our analysis and showed him that we think he was worth less than $600,000, but north of $575,000. And that we weren't ready to commit to it just yet, because I said, frankly, Mr. Seller, this was when we were in person, you're not ready to hear this. And he said, Brian, I think you're right. I just can't stomach it that I have to bring about $50,000 to closing. But I think you're right. In the end, we sold this property for $585,000, and he brought about $40,000 to closing after he made a $5,000 payment on his property vacant for about a year. And it was just a matter of persuading the seller to move to the right price. And since he wasn't prepared to do it while we had the listing, we simply passed. So that was the value of asking about the appraisal. Lastly, we want to ask him in this series is based on neighborhood conversations or perhaps junk mail you get from realtors about price. Do you have a high-low list price in mind? Now, if you've noticed these questions, we've never come out and say, seller, Do you have a price in mind? Because question 1, 2, 3 would have been inappropriate. But we've had a good enough dialogue at this point. I encourage you to come straight out and say, based on neighborhood conversations or junk mail you get from realtors or what you hear about market value, can I ask you, do you have kind of a high-low list price in mind? Now, the homeowner who started this conversation with you in the beginning said, I have no idea what the price is, Brian. We really have no clue. But now, after all this discussion, we're going to say, do you have a high-low list price in mind? And some owners will come right out and say what that number is, because we've asked in the right order. Now remember, you're only talking to one of the parties on the phone call. If they're married or whatever the situation is, you go on that listing interview and there's two. A lot of times, the other person sitting there doesn't know what you had on the conversation. And again, we're going to use this information during our listing presentation to say, Bob, when we talked on the phone, you said the value was about this and that. And the other spouse might look at him like, you told him what? But pricing therapy is a lot like marriage counseling therapy. You get the two parties together, you get them starting to express their opinions, you just keep unpacking it till we can all come to an agreement. Okay, thanks for watching.